All right, I am here with Phuc, who recently had a company acquired. Really excited to speak with you, Phuc. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you, Andrew, for hosting me. Such a pleasure and honor to be on here. Hello everyone. I'm Phu. I am a software engineer before, and then I quit my job to build like 6 startup in 12 months. And then recently, I sold one of the startup on my work. It's called Queue.so.
Nice. So for those that may not know about the startup you sold, do you want to give a little background on maybe like the problem it was solving and what it did?
Yeah. Yeah, so Queue.so is a Twitter scheduling tool for Notion. So basically, it's just like the very basic standard Twitter scheduling tool that you see, like Typefully, Buffer, this tool. But this tool work directly and integrated into Notion. So people using Notion to manage their content and workflow can just use the software directly in the Notion instead of having to go out to a different software. So that's the problem is solved. So it's
Nice.
very useful.
How
So it's
did
very
you,
useful for like teams that like run on Notion, and then they do not need to go to a different software. They do not need to sync all of their data and content to a different software.
I like that. How did you get your first, users, customers for the product?
Mostly by building in public on Twitter. So back then I was just like tweeting about I'm building this tool. It's help you to like scheduling tweets directly in Notion. And there's like a lot of people using Notion on Twitter and are excited to try new products on top of Notion. So that's helped me to get the first customer.
Nice, very nice. And then, so you see some success with this product. What made you decide to list it on acquire.com?
So I used to think that like I would spend most of my time working on Notion specific products because I did that for almost a year and then a lot of people know about that. But then I did launch another product and I had a little of an issue with Notion. So Notion basically not really like that product, and they as a platform have something to say about how I should approach that product. So for that, I do not really like that, like being told to do something by another company. So that's when I saw like the platform risk is something that like I do not really like to work with. So because of that, I decided, okay, Q is working, people are using the product, customer requesting more features, but I'm not really interested in developing it anymore. So it's better to let someone else who is more excited about this kind of problem to develop it further. And then I can focus on other products and problems.
Nice. That makes complete sense. Yeah, if you're not, excited about what you're building every day, it might be
Yeah.
a good time to look at selling it.
Yeah, it's
Um,
totally different. Like in the beginning, it feel like the best thing to work on in the world, but then after that, it just feel like a 9 to 5 job after a while, and it even worse than a 9 to 5 job because I do not really enjoy working on that product anymore. So any customer support ticket becomes like a, a very like mundane kind of task.
yeah, that makes complete sense. So you listed on Acquire, and what happened? What was your initial like impression when you listed?
So like people talk about, I didn't really know how MicroAcquire worked before at all. I just know that like there is this MicroAcquire marketplace that a lot of founders are selling their products successfully on the platform. So I just go to the website and then I just follow basically on the instruction there and just list my product. And the one thing is like I remember like I needed to come up with the asking price. So like how much multiples of the ARR that I should ask for. And then I did a bunch of research and then I asked a bunch of people and then I come up with like 7 or 8 multiplies of the annual revenue. And then I list the product there. And then just within like one day, there's just a lot of people reaching out and sending messages. I'm really surprised. I didn't really expect people to be that fast.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
sometimes it can be a little surprising even to me just how many buyers will just reach out for certain products. And
yeah,
so quickly. It's almost like buyers are just scanning acquire.com just all day long. So that's awesome to hear. Okay, so you got all these buyers now, and you got to find out who's the right one to work
yeah.
with. How did you end up, deciding to sell to this specific buyer? You don't have to name them, but just what did they do to stand out? What made you feel that the buyer you chose was the right one?
Yeah, I actually went to like two different buyers until I actually decided to sell to one of the buyer. So like one of the buyer was an indie hacker. So he's very similar to me. He's like a software developer who also want to start his own like SaaS company. And then he just really interested in the product. And we did talk a lot. I really enjoyed talking with him. I really wanted him to take over the project as like a solo founder and then develop it further. But then uh he was not really happy. So that indie hacker wasn't exactly happy with on the financial data when we do like due diligence.
Mm,
And because of that, like it makes sense and there's nothing. So I didn't lie anything on the listing, but like just like when he went deeper into the financial data and on, he saw like too much risk for him to take that business solo. So he decided to put that away. And then I talked to another buyer. This time, he's not a developer. He's not an indie hacker. He on a VC or he worked at a VC. I'm not so sure. He probably on that VC. So he
mm.
basically buying a few different products, and he have like a developers team that would just like develop that product further. And he just like have a portfolio of product within his VC. So that's why it's just make it much easier for me to see how this product can be developed and grow further.
That's awesome. So, I mean, on one hand, you had a product that you weren't interested in developing further, and then you were able to sell it to someone who can, kind of breathe some fresh energy into it, and
Yeah,
really kind of build it out further. That's awesome.
yeah. Also,
Tell
like the guy seemed to did a lot of research. Like in the first con that we talked to each other, he's already know about like how the product is doing, like how many followers on the SEO ranking, on the SEO research, all of these things I didn't even know about. He said like he did a bunch of research about that already, and this product just like do really well on the SEO side of things, something. I'm not so sure. And then he just like really want to buy the product.
Yeah, those are my favorite buyers, ones that do pre due diligence, because there's a lot of ways to look at website traffic with tools like Ahrefs or
Yeah,
SEMrush, or
exactly.
just looking up your Twitter page and any mentions from happy customers, stuff like that, using the product. I think those are all things that buyers can do without ever setting up a call. And then when you get on the call, it's a great way to stand out because, you really, like you said, you had a lot of buyers reach out, and then
Yeah,
you sold to someone who had done their homework, and the call is just so much more
exactly.
productive that way. So that's awesome to hear. In terms of due diligence, how did that process go?
I think like so I did that two times. One like ended up not like going forward, and then the last one we find out the deals. So like the second one was pretty easy because like the guy pretty much did his homework. So all we needed to do is to talk about the code base and transferring how I like design implement this product and how it can be developed further. So basically like on about technical uh, and on the things related to like financial, business, marketing, and on. The guy already know everything, so I didn't really need to do anything. I just only do like technical due diligence.
Nice. And then, yeah, because due diligence can be, either months, or much faster than that, depending on the buyer or just the size of the business. I've seen due
Yeah,
diligence processes go for 3, 4, 5 months, depending on how the size of the business and also the buyer.
yeah, that's true. For me, it
Yeah.
went like I think it's done within 2 days. Like yeah, like we had
Oh,
only
that's
one.
fast.
Yeah, we had only one con, and then I did one video recording, and then that's it. So like the day after, we just finished everything.
Oh wow, that might be a record if I've heard one. I guess my next question would be: so you're done with due diligence. I assume you agreed to purchase price. How did you go about transferring the assets?
So yeah, so we decided to break it into uh, two installment. So the first half he will pay, and then after I get that first half, I will transfer the assets of the company to him, and then the last half of the installment we will break that into three different installment again. That's kind of weird. But then because like in the last part of assets transfer, there's like a lot of like code-based AWS accounts, Stripe account, all of these. So I try to get like a little bit more money and then I transfer a little bit more. I get a little bit more money and then I transfer a little bit more. So that's how it works. Basically, just break it down into multiple installments.
Nice. I like that because it de-risks the acquisitions, I think, for both you and the buyer, by
Yeah,
taking it one step at a time and not basically ensuring as a buyer that they're going to get all the assets and they're going to have you around
yeah.
for support and stuff like that. So good job there. I guess my next question would just be, the acquisition went through successfully. You found a buyer, you went through due diligence, transferring assets. um, if you had to give like a few tips to another founder looking to sell a similar product on
Mm.
acquire.com, what do you think it'd be?
I think like just be on first, like just be really honest about what is the product doing, how much money is it making. Like just make it really clear and transparent. Try to give as much information to the buyers as possible so that you do not need to talk about that again to the buyers. And then the second thing is like there are a lot of buyers who do not really know what they are doing. So they just like text you and ask you like, can I ask more information about this product and ask this? So I just have like a templated message and I just send out to all of these people. And most of them just like disappear after a few messages. Only the one that like didn't really ask a lot are the one that actually gonna be serious about the product. So usually they know and they did the research. A lot of people on, I think like MyOacquire has a lot of buyers, but a lot of them also do not really know if they want to buy something or do not really know what they want to buy. So they just like try to ask every product and get as much information as they think they can. And then it's just like there's a lot of like work like messages that you need to reply but didn't really make any sense after a while.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a lot of buyers reach out, some are going to be interested. Some, when they see the product, they're not interested at that point. So I can definitely understand that. So I guess, if you had any feedback to give to, buyers, what would it be?
Feedback to buyers.
Yeah, just as a buyer, what, in terms of, catching your attention or, um, and giving
Yeah.
confidence to you that they're serious, what could a buyer do, better on acquire.com?
That's a really good question. I didn't really think about it. But like I think like I didn't really have a good impression to certain buyers, but more like I have a lot of bad impression on a lot of buyers. And the bad impression is like they ask very generic question. like how much this product is doing, what is MRR, what is the tech stack. These questions shouldn't be asked at all because like all the information are already available on the listing. So they shouldn't ask this question at all. They should know that. Yeah, so I think that is the bad impression. So my filter is just like filter all of those people that ask very basic question like that.
So basically questions that are stated on the profile already that you shouldn't even, they're
Yeah,
already answered on the profile.
yeah.
If they're
So
asking those questions, they're probably a pass.
yeah, so I guess they just like copy and pass one message to all different seller, and I don't think these buyers are very interested in the product. So I think like if the feedback is like they should do their homework and then just like focus on a few specific startup that they really want to buy, so that they do not waste time of themselves and also the seller.
Yeah, that's great. It's great feedback.
Yeah.
I guess my last question would be is I know you build a lot of products, and I assume you're working on a few other ones now.
Yeah.
What's kind of taking your main focus right now?
So right now, to be honest, I don't really have a main focus yet. Currently, I'm working on a new product. I have like one existing product, two existing product that are in production. So one is like Nova, which is a project management for Notion, and the other one called Daily, which is a note-taking app. So both of them are live and are available for use. So you can just go to my Twitter and see the product there. Currently, I'm working on a new product, a CMS for static site generators. So hopefully we'll be able to release that soon.
Nice. Well, Phuc, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. This was definitely fun to hear about. I'm rooting for your success with all these different products. I'm excited to see them. If people just want to get a hold of you, just to learn more about yourself or your businesses, where's the best place to find you?
I think Twitter is the best place. I tweet daily on Twitter at PhucTM97. So PhucTM97 on Twitter.
I'll be sure to put that in the show notes. But Phuc, thanks again for taking the time and congrats on the acquisition.
Thanks, Andrew. My pleasure.
All right, see ya. Take it easy.